Interpret the remainder. Yesterday, the boys and girls learned division with remainders. Today, we are going to delve a little more deeply into remainders. There are 4 ways of interpreting the remainder. First, we have using the quotient and the remainder together. The second way is using only the quotient. The third way is to add 1 to the quotient. And the fourth way is to use only the remainder. The question now is, well, how do I know which method to use? And it depends. It depends on the situation that the division problem presents. Let's have a look. Suppose we had the problem 80 divided by 7. This is a division problem that the boys and girls should be able to solve at this point. What I want them to do is think of a basic fact that they know with 7 that gets them as close to 80 as they can without going over. So what multiplication fact do they know? 7 times what will get them close to 80 without going over? That would be 11 times 7 is 77. So they should know that 80 divided by 7 is 11, and then how many would be left over would be 3. So they should be able to solve a division problem, 80 divided by 7, and come up with 11 remainder 3. Now, let's get into the situations so we know how to report our answer. Suppose we had 80 muffins that we wanted to divide among 7 people. The question then is, how many muffins would each person get? This is an example of where we will use both the quotient and the remainder. So, it's the same problem, 80 divided by 7, 80 muffins divided by 7 people. Each person will receive 11 muffins, but there's 3 muffins left over. Now, muffins can be divided, and we would report this as 11, and the boys and girls are learning today that the remainder can be reported as a fraction. You take the 3, and that is the numerator, and then we'll use the divisor, the 7 in this case, as the denominator. So each person in this situation would receive 11 and 3/7 muffins, and we would use all 80 muffins that way. Now, I will let you know dividing a muffin into sevenths is a little difficult, but it could be done. So here is a division problem where we would report the answer with the quotient and the remainder being reported as a fraction. Let's take a look at the same division problem with a different interpretation. Suppose we had 80 muffins, and we know that we can put 7 muffins into a box. So the question is, how many full boxes of muffins will there be? So it's the same division problem, 80 divided by 7 equals 11 remainder 3. This time we're asking, how many full boxes of muffins will there be? Well, if a box holds 7 muffins, there will be 11 full boxes. So here is a situation where we will use only the quotient. We don't use the remainder here because the remainder would not be a full box. So it's the same division problem, different interpretation of the remainder. Well, what about a situation where we would add 1 to the remainder? Again, our muffin example, we have 80 muffins. 7 muffins can go into a box. This time I want to know how many boxes are needed if every muffin needs to be in a box. Notice on the last one, not every muffin was in a box. We had 3 muffins left over, but that would not have made a full box. This time I want to know If I want every muffin in a box, how many boxes will I need? And I will need a 12th box. I will add 1 to the quotient because these 3 leftover muffins now need to be in a box. So we're going to put them in a box. It will not be a full box, but it will be a 12th box. And finally, the fourth way that we can interpret a remainder is to use only the remainder. Again, we have 80 muffins, 7 muffins go into a box. But now I might ask, how many muffins will be in that 12th box? We know it won't be full because there aren't 7 muffins to put in there. So how many muffins will be in there? Well, that's the remainder, 3 muffins. So this same division problem, 80 divided by 7 equals 11, remainder 3, can be reported with 4 different answers depending on the situation. And the boys and girls know how to do the math. Tonight they are working on how to interpret the remainder. There are 4 ways in which the remainder can be interpreted. We can use the quotient and the remainder. In this case, it was how many muffins would each person get? 11 remainder 3, or 11 and 3/7. The second way is to use only the quotient. How many full boxes of muffins can be made? In that case, it was 11. The third way is to add 1 to the quotient. If every muffin needs to be in a box, how many boxes would there be? That would be 12. And the fourth way, to use only the remainder, and that question was, how many muffins would have been in the 12th box? Interpreting the remainder depends on the situation. This is how we interpret the remainder.